She gonna kill her or is she gonna get her down? Getting her down, at least for now. Her hair got chopped off. She's like super gaunt, lost a ton of weight because they haven't been feeding her at all. Awful, dude. Oh, Lev's up here too? Oh no, Lev. He's still alive, I think, though.
Abby. I got you. I got you. They're both this way.
I had a feeling that this would happen, that they would end up kind of like uniting to escape slash like once Abby got taken slash kidnapped by oh my god, Ellie can't even get up this. Once that stuff happened with Abby, like in the beginning of the Abby section, like I had a feeling that something like this would happen, but like what's gonna happen now? That's the question. Is Ellie just going to like end it, or dude, this is tense. I also can't move any faster than this. My goodness, what a freaking mess. Oh my god. Are we getting in the boat, or like what is going to happen here? Ellie going to take her own boat? Holy crap, dude. Absolutely wild. Oh no, she sees Joel. The blood reminds her of Joel. Ellie, what are you gonna do?
I can't let you leave.
Oh no, she's confronting her.
I'm not doing this.
Oh no. I guess they are gonna duke it out.
No. I'm not gonna fight you. Yes, you will.
Oh, come on, Ellie. Lev didn't do shit. Lev did nothing.
He's not a part of this. You made him a part of this. Okay. Okay.
Oh my god. Oh no. Well, I guess we found out what's gonna happen here. Oh no. This is gonna be terrible. Alright. Well, I guess it's time to kill Abby. Oh, I'm not sure if I can even dodge. This doesn't seem a very fair fight since Ellie has a knife and Abby has, like, nothing. Oh my god, dude. And it all comes down to this. There's no way Abby's getting out of this. Abby's gotta be done. Abby has to be 100%. She's been stabbed like 5 times at least. Oh my god. Well, I guess that's how this ends. Oh, here we go. Oh, no. Oh, that's it for Abby. Oh, maybe not. Yep. Well, now Ellie has no knife, so now what's Ellie gonna do? They're both gonna die on this beach fighting each other at this point. Oh, God. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, Lev eventually gets up and just fucks up Ellie. Lev still might get up. Oh my God. Oh, whoop. Alright, Ellie, was it worth coming all this way for this? Was it fucking actually worth doing all this shit? I don't think it was worth it. Dude, Abby is a fucking fighter, though. Abby will not go down. Alright, well. I guess I spoke too soon. Oh, she's gonna drown her. Well, I think this might be the end for Abby. Oh, she bit her. Ouch. Dude. Dude, this is some fucked up shit. Oh my God, dude. She let her up. She let her up. She couldn't do it. She couldn't do it.
No. Just take him.
I don't even know how Abby is still alive at this point. After getting, like, I'm sure they weren't, like, the super deepest fucking cuts, but, like, I thought for sure once the knife was in Abby's chest, that was it. And then we're just basically drowning her. I figured that's it. So what was the fucking point of coming out here, then, if we're just going to let her go after all of this? We could have gotten in the boat with her and Lev and gone somewhere and figured something out. But no, like, I guess technically to Ellie, she won the fight. Because Abby was basically dead as far as I know. As far as I'm concerned, Abby was basically dead in the water. But, like, it won't matter. It won't bring Joel back at this point. And going after Abby after all of this time just led to more people getting killed and more people getting injured. And now she's missing, like, what, 2 fingers? Like, what was the point? No, we accomplished nothing. We just got even more fucking injured. That's all we did. Is Dina even here now? Like, what the fuck? Is Dina even going to be here anymore? What happened while we were gone? How long were we gone for? I don't know. I don't know what the point of any of that was. Looks dusty, looks like things have been cleaned out, and looks like they're gone. We actually accomplished nothing and just screwed up everything even more. Nothing's here. It's all gone. Everything's gone. They packed up probably all the important shit, or someone, like, invaded the house and just stole everything out of it. Well, what's more likely is probably Dina packed the fuck up and went back to the settlement, Jackson, or whatever it was called. Any note around here saying what happened? What'd I just walk by? Oh, here's a bedroom. Yep. Everything just packed up and just gone. All we did was waste even more time. Yeah, this room has been left. This must have been just Ellie's room full of stuff. So this room has pretty much just been left. Pretty sure that was the record we played, like, at the beginning of the farm sequence. We accomplished nothing. All that time, all that fighting to accomplish actually nothing. Well, unfortunately, we're missing, like, several fingers, so... And now we can't even play guitar. We can't even fucking play guitar anymore. Because our left hand is just busted. What did you accomplish, Ellie? What was accomplished by all of that? Nothing. Nothing was accomplished in all of that. Actually fucking nothing. Fucking nothing got accomplished. My goodness.
What are you drinking?
Coffee.
Where'd you get that?
Those people that came through last week.
Oh.
A little embarrassed as to what I had to trade to get it, but it's not bad.
I had Seth under control.
Yeah, I know.
And you need to stop harassing Jesse about my patrols.
Okay.
Poor Joel, man. Come on, dude. Can I get a crumb of happiness in this game, please?
Dina. Is she your girlfriend?
No. No, that was just one kiss. It doesn't mean anything. She just, I don't know why she did that.
But you do like her.
So stupid.
I have no idea what that girl's intentions are, but I do know that she would be lucky to have you.
You're such an asshole.
I'm not trying to.
I was supposed to die in that hospital. my life would have fucking mattered. But you took that from me.
If somehow the Lord gave me a second chance at that moment, I would do it all over again.
Yeah. I don't think I can ever forgive you for that. But I would like to try.
I'd like that.
Oh, I know Joel would like that. Joel has been hoping for that for a long time, probably at this point.
Okay. I'll see you around.
Yep.
Oh, poor Joel. Come on. My goodness. Scene looks kind of familiar for some reason. I'm not sure why, but... And there goes Ellie. Where is she going? Back to Jackson? I don't know. Let's go. Let's find Abby again and fight her some more. Why not? Let's lose the rest of our fingers. That was the end. That was the end. My God, that was the end. All right, let's try to transition out of that very depressing ending to a very depressing game. And we'll transition into just some of my thoughts on The Last of Us Part 2 and talking about the original Last of Us as well. I ended up having this open because there's a little bit of like nice background music just to have something here. But I'm going to try not to talk for super long. I'm just going to try to give my thoughts on the game as a whole and compare it a little bit to The Last of Us, the original game. Because once I finished The Last of Us Part 2, I went back and I would say over the course of like half a week or so, I chipped away at the game and ended up beating the original game again because it had been quite a while since I had played the original game and I wanted more of like a refresher on what happened and how the game played and all that. But at like, we'll start with probably the easy stuff first. The gameplay and the way the game looks. The Last of Us Part 2 definitely looks better. I think the original Last of Us came out at like the end of the PS3 life cycle, whereas The Last of Us Part 2 comes out more so towards the end of the PS4 life cycle. Not sure if they have a release date on when the PS5 is supposed to come out, but I would imagine soon. I would imagine within the next like 2 or 3 months to like maybe something bad happened during production or something. Like Because I think Xbox comes out in November, so you would imagine PS5 would also come out around that time, but who knows with, like, all the fucking bullshit that's been happening. Like, I have no clue how it's going to be. But the original game came out towards the end of the PS3 life cycle, I think, or at the very least, the very, very beginning of the PS4. And The Last of Us Part 2 comes out more so towards the end of the PS4 life cycle. So the game definitely looks quite a bit better. I would say even playing the remaster of the original game, things do look a fair bit dated. The frame rate's pretty nice, though. The frame rate in the original game, at least the remastered version on a PS4 Pro, actually probably was more like 45 to 60 FPS, which is it was pretty smooth most of the time. Sometimes it would chop up and get a little bit slower. But The Last of Us Part 2 definitely runs on a lower frame rate. It's not too terrible. Like, for me, I don't really care. Like, I don't really care about graphics. Like, I probably care about frame rate a little bit more. But, like, as long as it's tolerable, I'm not going to be complaining, like, too much. But definitely the gameplay and the way everything looks, pretty good in The Last of Us Part 2. I would say the pacing of gameplay is, like, a little bit for The Last of Us Part 2. If you play The Last of Us, the original game, I would say it's more so, like, more frequent, consistent combat and, like, more frequent, consistent just gameplay. Whereas The Last of Us Part 2 has a lot of story explanation. You have a lot of flashbacks. You have longer cutscenes where stuff's trying to get explained. It definitely feels like they took the original game and just expanded on certain things quite a bit more than other things. And I think the story is one of them. I guess I'm not really surprised that they really kind of expanded the story, but at times, things do kind of drag on a little bit. That might just be a personal thing with me, because I tend to like more combat-heavy, like, action. I wouldn't say it was bad, but, like, at some points of the game, I'm just like, oh my god, another flashback? Like, dude, can I just shoot some infected, please? Like, sometimes you have big chunks of combat, sometimes you have big chunks of just, hey, explore this area. Sometimes you have big chunks of, hey, we're gonna expand the story, so, like, strap in and listen. Whereas the first game is more so, like, consistent. There are story elements that are happening, but they don't really expand on them too much. And, like, some of the story stuff that happens just kind of happens quickly. You have a segment with someone that Joel knows in the original game. You kind of go through the town looking for a car. Like, that takes a little bit, but it doesn't drag on too long. You have another time where they meet. I can't even remember both of their names. There was, like, two brothers. They got separated from a group. I'm pretty sure they were, like, in Pittsburgh or something. But one of them was named Sam. I can't remember the other one, but, like, that happens. That's more of a quicker thing. You just have, like, kind of quicker areas in the original game. Whereas the second game, you can really, like, kind of explore and be in an area for a long period of time. I would say I definitely like the pacing of the original game a little bit more, just because I'm more of, like, a combat/explore heavy kind of person. I don't mind the story too much, but sometimes it definitely did drag on a little bit for me in The Last of Us Part 2. So, like, you know, gameplay-wise, I would say The Last of Us Part 2 better. It also feels less clunky. I think the original game feels kind of clunky and stiff, whereas Part 2 feels a little bit, like, more loose. I don't really know how to describe it, but it feels better. Like, the gameplay's fun, exploring is fun, the combat's fun. They're fun in both games, but I think The Last of Us Part 2 definitely improved the controls and just the gameplay itself when you actually are in combat and stuff. I feel like it's improved. Also, some of the events, like boss fights and stuff, I think are much better in The Last of Us Part 2. I don't know. I don't really know if there were very many, like, boss fights in the original game. There's a part where they're, like, going through a school and there's a bloater that shows up that's kind of like a boss fight. But there are, like, actual bigger boss fights in Part 2. There was that, like, monstrosity in the hospital when you're Abby kind of later on in the game. Like, that felt a lot more interactive / like, dangerous. Like, it felt like more of an actual boss fight, which was pretty cool. But the thing that most people agree on is probably the story. And I feel like when it comes to the original game, the story probably could have been expanded on a little bit. Like, certain situations could have been expanded on, because the game's not too long. It's like 10 hours or so, like 10 to 15 hours, depending on how quick you chip away at it. Whereas it took me like 30 hours to beat The Last of Us Part 2. And I know I wasn't exactly like cruising through the game and skipping stuff, but like, I wasn't trying to cruise through the original game either, and ended up beating it in probably like 10 hours or so. So I wouldn't have minded a little bit more story expansion and like just a longer game in general for the original game, but I feel like The Last of Us Part 2 definitely does drag in some sections. Sometimes I just wish I could go back to exploring or combat, but they're like, hey, here's another flashback, and it's like, all right, I guess so. Like, not the biggest thing, not the biggest deal for me, but the pacing is a little bit like, eh. Sometimes you have big combat sections, sometimes big explore sections, sometimes big story sections, like, Sometimes it's a little slower than I would like, but that's probably just a personal thing. But when it comes to the actual story, pretty hit or miss for a lot of people. I probably echo a lot of people's, I'm not sure what to call it. I don't know what the word is, but my views are probably similar to other people's views on the story and just the game in general, because I think people have said gameplay's fine, but it's the story that kind of is like, what was really going on? And I don't think I hate the game I wouldn't say I hate the game at all, but some people really hate the game and really dislike it. I don't think I would say that I hated The Last of Us Part 2, but the game overall is just very, very sad, very depressing, very upsetting. It's going to potentially anger you, unless you don't care about the story or the characters at all. Like, I was just, the more I played the game, the more sad I got. Like, in the very beginning of the game, within the first couple of hours, you're already hit with, like, some hard-hitting story stuff, and just main characters are already dying. And the game certainly made me feel things that I didn't think I was going to feel. And it was mostly just, like, it's just mostly negative stuff. Like, you play the game and it's just sadness, it's anger, it's, like, depressing, it's upsetting. It's just, there's almost nothing good feeling when it comes to the story of The Last of Us Part 2. And it's their game, they can do whatever they want with it. But for me, I would have liked to see more adventures of Joel and Ellie, or at the very least know that those two characters were, like, doing well. And that's just not the case for The Last of Us Part 2. They killed Joel very early on in the game. Ellie goes through some very, very bad things throughout the course of the game. By the end of the game, she's, like, riled up by Tommy to go back after Abby. She finds Abby. She doesn't kill her. So pretty much nothing was accomplished by, like, Tommy riling her up. Then she goes back home. Dina and the baby are gone from the farm, assuming they just picked up and moved out, because, like, everything's packed up for the most part, except for Ellie's stuff. Like, Ellie's stuff is just left in, like, the one room. So you assume they go back to Jackson or whatever the settlement is. And then Ellie tries to pick up a guitar and then can't quite play guitar the way she used to because she lost a couple fingers in the fight against Abby. And it's just, there's nothing good. There's no happiness to be had in the game, aside from a couple things maybe here or there. And I couldn't even list them. Like, depending on how you see Abby as a character, like, if you like Abby, then one of the only good things that happened at the end of the game is that Ellie indirectly ends up saving Abby on the beach, because Abby and Lev were probably going to die on the beach. Maybe not. Maybe someone would have wandered down to the beach eventually, but, like, the whole prison break was because of Ellie anyway. So, like, all of that indirectly happens because of Ellie. Not the biggest fan of Abby. I definitely hated her less by the end of the game, but, like, I don't really know what I was supposed to feel when they're like, hey, play as this character for, like, a long period of time, and it's like, by the end of the game, I definitely wasn't as mad playing as Abby, but, like, I still don't like how everything turned out. It still just wasn't a good time. Like, all of the characters are just kind of outside of a couple of characters. Like, I think Lev was pretty alright. The unfortunate thing with him was that he was, like, brainwashed by the cult for so long, so he's kind of, like, hard-headed once you meet him, but, like, that's understandable. Like, He's just unreasonable. He's young. He's impressionable. The cult has completely screwed all that up. So it makes sense for Lev. I think Lev was like a pretty good character overall. Dina probably pretty decent character. Like nothing too crazy happens with her. I don't know. I don't know. Most characters just kind of left me feeling just sad or like a bitter taste in my mouth. It's really hard to explain. I don't know. The game just seems really complicated to me. And maybe that's just a me thing. But, like, man, I wish things happened differently. I was hoping that at some point during the game I would feel happy or something good would happen, but it just doesn't really happen. And I appreciate the game for making me feel things, but it's all bad stuff. It's all like, man, I wish things were different. I think the game is unique in that it just kind of hits you hard over and over and over again, and you just aren't really left feeling good about like anything that happens, especially by the end of the game. And I think that's kind of unique. I don't think I've really played a lot of games that make me feel that way, but it doesn't mean that it's the greatest thing ever. And I don't regret playing the game. I had fun. I had a good time playing the game overall. It was definitely an interesting experience that I'm glad I got to experience, but at the same time, like I said, I wish things were completely different, and it's just super sad. It's super sad. The game itself is super sad, and I don't think it really needs any more explanation than that. Like, that's kind of my thoughts on the game. So, like, gameplay-wise and how the game looks, I think The Last of Us Part 2, pretty solid. But when it comes to story, it's just like, I wish it was different. And of course, in the original game, there were hard-hitting issues too. But they're really kind of drawn out in The Last of Us Part 2. And in the original game, Joel and Ellie do end up overcoming stuff. But like, going back and playing the original game, that game's messed up too. It's just The Last of Us Part 2 is just 10 times more messed up than the first game. Because there's bad shit that happens in the game. Even the ending of the game is like bad stuff happening. Like the end of the game is basically Joel lying to Ellie's face one last time before the game ends. So like, I don't know. The Last of Us Part 2 definitely kicked things into overdrive when it came to that. And yeah, I think that's about it. Comparing the two games, I would definitely say overall I like the original game a lot better when it comes to the story and how things are, but the original game is also pretty messed up. It's just The Last of Us Part 2 just kind of kicks it into overdrive, and it's rough. It's rough. I don't know what their plans are with the series going forward, but in the end, I wish it were different. I wish Joel and Ellie were still around doing well. I wish their relationship was still good. I wish one of them wasn't dead. And who even knows what happens to Ellie? Ellie just kind of leaves the farm at the end to do, I don't know what, go back to the big settlement. Start a new life elsewhere. I have no clue. So, definitely overall, in the end, very interesting game. I'm glad to have played it and experienced it, but I also wish things were very different, and that's kind of my take on The Last of Us Part 2. I know some people very angry and very upset. I wouldn't say I'm like that extreme on it. I wouldn't say my feelings for it are that extreme, but definitely wishing things were a little bit different. So I think I've probably expanded on a lot of stuff. I already talked for 15 minutes, which is quite a bit longer than I thought I would. I was hoping within, 5-10 minutes, at least 10 minutes, I would have it wrapped up, but I don't know. Man, the game just makes me feel so sad. It makes me feel bad and sad and angry and upset, and it's just, man, the game was exhausting. I gotta say, by the end of the game, I was just like, the game had exhausted me, kind of like emotionally, and I'm kind of glad it's over. Not that it was a terrible thing, but like, I get to move on to hopefully happier times and more fun stories and all that stuff. But I'm definitely glad I got to experience it. I'm definitely glad I got to play it for everyone. And I think that's about it. I think the game is worth playing just to experience everything that it has to offer. but I do wish it was different. So thank you for listening to me ramble here for like 16 minutes. I'll probably add this to the end of my final video just to have this talking about it. So thank you for watching. Thank you for everyone who stuck around and watched the whole playthrough. It was a pretty long one. It was a very long one. I think after this, I'm going to go and play a bit of a shorter game that is just more so kind of like empty fun, and I don't have to really worry about stuff too much, and then we'll see what happens from there. But that's it for me. Thank you for everyone, whether you just only watched this video to see what my reaction was or what I had to say to the end, or whether you watched the whole thing. I know there have been some very dedicated people watching the entire thing, which is pretty impressive because this was a long game. And this was also a pretty controversial game. A lot of people really on the fence about the game, but that's it. Hopefully, if they do continue on The Last of Us, hopefully the next game will be a little bit different in the story department. Hopefully, we'll have something good to work for. But I don't know what their plans are. But my plan is to move on and hope for a better tomorrow. So thank you for listening to me. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.